Video game developer Mark Kern has alerted us that people are now being suspended or banned from Twitter for simply mentioning a now notorious admitted pedophile known as Sarah Nyberg, who's now confirmed to be legit. Leaked chat logs have started an online firestorm. Now, it might seem strange that Twitter is jumping in to defend an admitted pedophile from people who seem to be trying to warn Nyberg's followers on who this person is and the things that they've done and said, such as distributing child pornography. And while that behavior is certainly unexpected, the whole situation becomes totally bizarre when we look at the full context of who the head of safety for Twitter is. Nobody knows her real name, but she goes by Del Harvey. You might be asking, why would a corporate bigwig at Twitter be using a pseudonym? Actually, it's for her own protection. An article on Forbes sheds some light. It reads, in 2003, when she was 21, she started volunteering for Perverted Justice, a group that posed as young kids online to engage potential pedophiles in chats. When they caught one, they'd post the chats along with the identity of the would-be molester. So, it seems that Gamergate is doing exactly what the head of safety for Twitter proudly did for one of her previous jobs, exposing a pedophile's chats for the world to see. But let's take a look at some of her interviews to see what we can shake loose here.
The internet is swarming with sexual predators who constantly stalk chat rooms searching for children. But Del Harvey is fighting back by hunting down online pedophiles and bringing them to justice. She's here today to uncover a disturbing world that every parent needs to be warned about. Please welcome, from pervertedjustice.com, Del Harvey. Del. It's amazing the work that you do. You've been doing it for a long time. We first spotted you on Dateline and were just blown away by the justice that you're actually bringing to our world in doing this. You essentially have been posing as young boys, young girls, trying to get these online predators. Before we see you in action, what is it that you do exactly?
Well, essentially, the organization goes into online chat rooms with underage profiles, and if adults then contact those underage profiles and solicit them for sex, we then contact the police and work with them to prosecute and convict them.
To trap them, essentially.
Yeah. Precisely.
Right.
Porrick O'Brien reporting. Well, joining me now from our studio in San Francisco is Twitter's head of trust and safety, Del Harvey. Do you accept you've messed this up in Britain?
It's a heck of an opening. Thanks for having me here. So I think that what I would ask is, what part of this in particular are you speaking to?
It's a very convoluted form that you've got to fill in. And if you're getting, rape threats every minute, you can't fill in a form for every threat. And that's what happened at the weekend. I mean, you need some sort of system that is simpler and quicker, surely. I mean, because you're a massive social network around the world. There's a huge amount of abuse, not just anti-women abuse in Britain, but I mean, there's been racist abuse and all sorts of abuse on Twitter that presumably is just kind of going unchecked.
I think there's sometimes a perception that Twitter is the Wild West, that there are no rules. There are rules. We are working on making the forums easier to use. We have the forums primarily because it's a balance between making it really easy to report content, but then also preventing others from using those forums to try to silence people who maybe they just don't agree with. Even in the current structure of the reporting process, we see a lot of accounts reported not because they were actually posting harassing content or threats or anything else, but just because they don't agree with what the other person said. So there's this balance between making it where you can just say, okay, well, this is abusive, and then making it where you actually have to provide some context around it. Well, the case of the multiple attackers or the multiple accounts that you highlighted is one of the areas that we're working to try to make it so that it's not this overwhelming burden when you're already feeling overwhelmed, right? The last thing we want to do is make you feel worse.
Okay, so at this point, let's make this clear. There's zero evidence so far that the go-ahead to ban people who are exposing a pedophile came directly from Del Harvey, or that she was even aware of the decision. But if she did have something to do with it, it would obviously be extremely hypocritical, due to her proud past of exposing pedo chats to the world, which actually helped land her the job. But what's clear from these interviews is that Twitter claims they're willing to answer questions and claims they're willing to listen. But realistically, it'll probably take pressure from bigger media than me to answer questions like, what is Twitter's official stance on exposing pedophiles? Is it considered harassment, or is it a service to humanity?